Guys, notice that Glenn has laid out a blanket. It's, in this case, it's a quilted moving blanket that guys will use for install. One of the biggest mistakes that installers make is they lay their stuff out in the dirt and the grass and they start losing screws and parts in the grass. So it's a good idea to lay out a blanket like this, and especially a blanket because you can pick the screws up out of it real easy. You don't lose any parts or anything, so it gives you a base to work on.
For today's project, we chose a universal 600-watt high-tap transformer to make sure we had plenty of power getting out for some of the longer runs. The universal transformer, in my opinion, is one of the best on the market. They come packed fantastic, real easy to install, stainless steel case. And we're going to mount this here for today's job.
Okay, Rod's driving in a stake here. Sometimes guys use rebar or a piece of grounding rod. Doesn't really matter, but let me show you. Here's what we're doing. We slipped this piece of PVC over it, and this becomes a turning point. So when we pull our wire, we can turn right and left by going around this pivot point. All right, what you've got is Glenn pulling wire. We've set up our wire on the Racketeer easy pull right at our transformer location. Now, Glenn's going around the corner here on our pole, and you guys can see how easy that does it, how he can turn a corner. Now I'm going to show you guys a little trick. At each place we're going to pull a fixture, we're going to pull a tuning loop as well. And typically I like to pull it like up to my underarm. So that's good right there, and then for now I'll put a slip knot in it. You guys can do anything you want. You can tie a rubber band around it. Some guys do a wire tie, but that is going to be a tuning loop. And the reason we do that, the wire is expensive, but it's cheap compared to having to cut and splice. So this gives us an opportunity to move the fixture around. If they change a plant material, we can bring the fixture back, forward, to the right or left as we need it. So it's always a good idea to pull a tuning loop for each fixture. Everybody gets to the job site, they're in a big hurry to put stuff in. They forget the wire marking stuff, as we did as well. So here's a little trick. For every run you put in, put a knot in it. Simple enough. This is our third run. We've got 3 knots in it. Here's our second run. We've got 2 knots in it. Our first run, we've got 1 knot in it. So we can quickly identify. We've got a lot of loose wire here right now that's all going to get tucked in and it'll look really, really professional. But right now, this is a quick identifier. So just knot your wire 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, as you're pulling the runs. Getting ready to start stripping, so we're going to spread our wires, and we can spread liberally and we can strip liberally. So we take this is an old set, my old favorites here. I always use a size bigger, but let's start with what we're going to do here first. Plenty of strip. Try not to leave that stuff in the yard. We're stripping liberally here now. We won't need that much strip, but we need to do that so that we can use our copper crimps and grease tubes effectively. Again, we'll strip liberally, and you'll notice that I hold these pliers at an angle. I'll show you that again, and that way you get a good clean cut without getting any of the copper, hopefully. The idea is not to cut the copper. If you do, it's not the end of the world, but the idea is not to cut it. Yeah, we don't want to leave those pieces of insulation in the environment, because the homeowner comes back and looks at that and goes, oh, you know, it's an indicator of the quality of the installation. So when we leave the job, even though this is rubber mulch everywhere, we want to leave the job correctly. All right, we'll come back. We're going to strip some more. We'll come back and then we'll copper crimp and grease tube. Okay, here's what we've done. We've stripped liberally, so we got plenty of copper showing. We're not worried about the excess right now. We've twisted them together. We're not even so much worried about that, but we twist them together just so we don't get any stray hairs. Now we're going to twist this together. The main thing, guys, right now is that we've polarized or phased all our connections. So you see, we started to have a stray hair, but when we get down to where we need to be, we've got plenty of good solid copper. There's no stray hairs. What we have done is we phased this, so we've got all the ribbed to ribbed to ribbed. So, and that's going to be important later. Yes, it's AC current. You can get it crossed, but let's keep it all the same. All right, so we put that in our crimp tool and get ready, because we're going to smoke down on that with all I've got. And really honk down on it. Now guys, that is a connection that can't be pulled apart. I'm not going to bother showing you, but I can tell you it's tight. A good installer is going to check it. He's going to pull on it. No wire nut could stand that kind of pull on. It's completely void of any space there. You can see that. Okay, so that's a good connection. Remember, rib to rib to rib. Now our next connection is going to be solid or printed. The printed wire is all going to be together, and again, we're just going to do a quick twist to that. Try to get them even. Okay. Okay, we've got it all the way down to our insulation. We smoke down on that thing, and that is a proper copper crimp, guys. Look at that. That is excellent. I mean, there's no voids. I can tell you, you can yank on that all day. You'll break the wire. Ribbed. All right, and we've got one other. Teddy, I want you to catch this. This is an extra challenge, because really what we've got here, we've got two main lines. So we've got two number 12s and then two number 18s coming off the fixture. So it's a little bit big. Now, let's get it all twisted together. Okay, and this time we're going to use a large, thank you Ron, good one, large copper crimp. As you guys can see, we don't have any trouble. It doesn't get any stray hairs on it, so we're running that copper crimp over it. Flared side down to the, and we're going to set our tool for the large size. We're going to put that in. We're going to go down on it, and oh my God, it takes all I got to get it crimped. But there we go. Now we've got an excellent crimp. Look at that. Look at that. Let's even choke up on it and get a little bit more. There we go. We've got the full barrel crimp on it, guys. Excellent crimp. We'll pull on every wire and pull hard. Don't be afraid. Nothing's coming out. Nothing's loose. That'll last forever. Now we're gonna tie it back so that they don't touch and arc when we do our testing. Okay. We'll leave these things exposed. The grease tube, by the way, of course it's a large crimp, large grease tube, is the very last thing we do at the moment we're burying the wire. So we don't want to put that on there yet, because we want to do our testing, okay?